Consider the following formula. Which of the following statements is true for this formula? Well, we know that one of our variables, q, is defined as w minus 1. So what we can do is we can substitute in this value for every q that we see in each of our answer choices and solve to see if the statement remains true. Let's try that for A. We have w plus q, which we can substitute in w minus 1 for, which is greater than 0. And now we can begin to solve. We would have w plus w minus 1. W plus w would give us 2w minus 1, which is greater than 0. Then we can do opposite operations to isolate our variable. Addition is the opposite of subtraction, so we'll add 1 to both sides. 2w is greater than 1, and then 2 is being multiplied to w, so the opposite operation here is dividing both sides by 2. W will be greater than 1/2. In this case, this is too abstract for us to say this is the correct answer right away, so let's see if we can find a more concrete answer. We'll hang on to this. W is greater than 1/2. Now let's take a look at option B. We have q, which we can substitute in w minus 1 for, plus w is greater than 2q, which we can substitute in w minus 1 for. Now we can begin to simplify. W minus 1 plus w is greater than, distributive property, 2 times w is 2w, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And now we can simplify. On this side we have two like terms. W plus w would give us 2w, minus 1 is greater than 2w minus 2. Now we can do opposite operations. 2w is positive, so subtracting it from both sides would be the opposite operation. Both of these would cancel, leaving us with negative 1 is greater than negative 2. In this case, we don't have a variable on either side of the inequality, so this is a definitive statement. Negative 1 is always greater than negative 2, therefore making this a correct statement and our correct answer. But for the sake of the video, I will go through and show you why C and D are incorrect. Now looking at answer choice C, we have w minus q, which we know is equal to w minus 1, is less than 0. Now when we go to simplify this, if anything in math exists, there is always one of them. So we can imagine a little invisible 1 outside of this parentheses. And that will help us see that we need to distribute this negative 1 into our parentheses in order to get the correct final answer. We'll have w, negative 1 times w would be minus w, and then negative 1 times negative 1 would be a positive 1, which is less than 0. Now we can continue to simplify. W minus w would just give us 0, leaving us with 1 is less than 0, which is an untrue statement, making C incorrect. And finally, for answer choice D, we have q, which we know to be equal to w minus 1, minus w is greater than w minus q, which we know is equal to w minus 1. Now let's start to simplify. In this first set of parentheses, we'll have w minus 1 minus w is greater than w. If it exists in math, there's always one of them. So we'll put a 1 out here and do distributive property. Negative 1 times w is negative w, and then negative 1 times negative 1 will give us positive 1. Now we can simplify. We have positive w minus w on the left, which will just give us 0. They'll cancel each other out. And the same thing happens on the right-hand side. W minus w, they would cancel out, leaving us with negative 1 is greater than positive 1, which is an incorrect statement, making D incorrect. So now if we look at all of our statements, we can see that A, in its abstractness, we have no idea what the value of w could possibly be. It could be any value out there. But B is definitively a correct statement. Negative 1 is always greater than negative 2, so B is our correct answer.